guys, thanks for coming back to my channel, and we're going to do a deep dive on this Luna Magic House. Reply on part 4 from Linda Wilkinson, and she commented, I'd be very interested to see how you fit all the wires and battery box into the house. I've just finished and it's impossible. Well, Linda, here's the story. I did finish this, and I had a strange thing happen. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I want everyone, when they get one of these kits, to just do a real quick light testing. And what you can do is you can get a little stack of the 3LR44 batteries. If you look back at the Cyberbook Book Nook, there is a section where I tested the batteries, and it was to test them for color. But I realize now that I've made this because I had 2 lights that didn't work. So the first one being the one on the porch, and then the one in the kitchen. And I was so heartbroken about that. So when you get your kits and when they have lights, you just stack the batteries, and you can use a little electrical tape to hold them together. And then you put on these types of wires, so far, the gray is the ground. And so you put that on the negative side of the battery. And then the white is a positive. You put that on the positive side. And if the light is good, it will light up. So I'm not sure if in making the lamps, something happened to the wires, could have been. But I would say at each point after you have installed a light or put it into the fixture, to test it. That way you won't be heartbroken like I am. And so another thing that I wanted to mention that hopefully will be helpful to people who are building this house or other projects like it is to look through and read the instructions all the way through and really get familiar with the project. I feel like if I had have done that and had went to the end where you have the wires coming out and the battery box containment, if it has it, I would do a mock-up of that build maybe in the beginning just to make sure everything fits. Because so the problem I had with this, and it literally took me all day to try to figure it out, is at the end I had a ton of wires hanging out the back where they're supposed to go. Now let me go back. This spot right here, which on the inside there's a big bookcase, there was an optional music box. This did not come with the music box, so this whole piece here is empty. And the space for this was right in here, and I'll get some close-ups in a minute, but it didn't fit because of the wiring. And also I could not get all of the lights to power with just this small box, so I ended up pilfering this larger box with 3 AA's to make all of it work. Now, having said that, I'm not sure if it's a case where if one light doesn't work, none of them will work, because I did try that. And then I had to go through every single wire here, and there are 11 lights total. And I had to figure out which gray and white corresponded to each lamp. And that took a hot minute, but I was able to find out that this light wasn't working and the porch light wasn't working, so heartbroken there. But definitely test them as you go. And what I would have done differently, we're going to go into the house here in just a second. I'll explain how this, you probably wouldn't need this. I'm not sure if I just had an exception to what happened here. Not sure. But I'm pretty sure I know how to fit this in there without it hanging out. So let's get into that right now. As I was saying, this is a bookshelf, but it's empty. And let me find the corresponding the pictures so you can see what I'm talking about here, because I would really hate for anyone else to have the same experience. Okay, so on the inside of this wall, there is, if you were to take this back panel off, this is where the music box would go. And so it's large enough, definitely, to fit this entire thing, which you're not going to need this. I had a problem, so what I would do, let me go back to where you build the bookshelves, because we're going to build them, you, my good friends, are going to build them differently so yours can fit. So here it is. I'm going to scoot my materials over for just a second, because this is how I have figured out how it would work for you guys when you go to do it. So the bookshelf is a facade. So you're going to have the front, that there's going to be two different bookshelves. One's fatter, longer, bigger, wider, and then the other one's kind of skinny. What I would like you guys to do is to, I'm going to draw on my paper here, if I can find a pin that will do it. So they have you make the same facade with this. I hope it's not glaring, but I don't want you to put the tiny walls on this one. Don't do it. What I want you to do is to take the edge here, this edge, and don't put this side on there, but you want to glue this to that edge right there. Just kind of a butt joint right together. And then on the back, you can take a piece of paper and glue it over the seam to hold those two pieces together. And then take this wall right here, the wider wall, and you're going to put it on this side. And that way you're having one long wall piece, if that makes sense. So you're going to have, it's going to look like, you know, so that's where the seam would be, and then you'll have the extra long piece there. So on the inside of this, you'll have room to just tuck it all in there. And that's only if you don't have the music box variety, which I'm really curious about the music box. If you, another workaround would be, you know what I would do? They have those tiny little gift boxes. I would just tuck it in one of those, just in the back, like a little present or something like that. You could hide it that way. But that would be the only way I could see that this would fit inside there without any other, you know, issues. As long as you don't have a music box in there, that would fit. Let's see, what else? Did I have any other problems? I did not. The only problem I had was the two lights not working, and then the battery box not fitting in there. But hopefully this video will help future builders. And like I said, it's helpful. I like to be surprised, but I'm going to start reading through these booklets the whole way, and especially when it gets towards the end, where it shows how things come together, because then you can see how it's going to go. And like Linda said, with all these wires in the way, it just would not fit, because there is a little lip right here, a little piece of wood that you could probably just get rid of that before you put it in. Because once you start putting things down with super glue, that's it. Forget it. You can't go back from there. That's all she wrote. So I'm going to also upload a little picture of all the tools and things that I use that will help you make these kits, and hopefully make the process a little bit easier. So if you have any questions, I read everybody's comments. If you have questions, I answer them to the best of my ability. And let's take one last look at this lovely house that I really had a lot of fun doing. And I'm so sad that I didn't check my lights get a good look at her. One of the things I did on this build is I keep my extra pieces from my other builds. I have this lovely moss and these little red berries, so I thought that was just wonderful. And one of the things, they didn't have like an edge around here, which I didn't like, so I kind of decorated it up right there. And I added some extra things. I always add crystals to the piece, and that's fun. And I had some of these little leftover rocks because this was really hard to stand just by itself on its own. And I had these little fingernail jewels, and I put them inside here, just a few. But this was a really fun build, and I would love to hear if someone builds this and they use my idea of what you're gonna do, because I did actually break this joint when I was trying to shove that in here. So this is what I mean by joining it with a little bit of paper. But if I could have, I would have not had this wall there, and then it would have fit right in there. I would take this wall, and you could probably still use the short wall on the side. I don't think it would really matter. Or you could use this one. No, actually, I think you'd probably want to use a big one. That way it fits the same way. And then you wouldn't have all this extra like I did. And these are the ones that they didn't work. So hopefully this has been helpful. And I can't wait to hear how this turns out for everyone else. Let's kind of move this out a little bit. You can still shut the door. My next project is going to be the Scarborough, and I'm really excited about that one. I'm going to look through that booklet a lot because it's a big build, and I want to make sure that I get it right the first time and I check all my lights and things. All right, but thanks for joining me, you guys, and I hope all your builds are magical. Merry Christmas to everyone.